Hey, New York. It's Book Talk for Book Talk with Jac and Amy. We're coming your way.
For one night on April 17th, we are going to be hosting a meetup with you guys in New York.
Get more information by heading to our website, booktalkforbooktalk.com, and click on the Eventbrite pop-up.
We gather here tonight to bring women back to their rightful place.
The Testaments, a new Hulu original series from the executive producers of The Handmaid's Tale.
It's easier to accept a story than believe that the people around you are monsters.
The battle isn't over.
There comes a time when you have to take action, when you have to choose your own destiny.
Never quite as it seems. Watch the new Hulu original series, The Testaments, April 8th on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus for bundle subscribers. Terms apply.
Refreshing wild cherry cola meets smooth cream. The treat you deserve. Pepsi Wild Cherry and Cream. Treat yourself.
Hey there, we're Book Talk for Book Talk with Jac and Amy, your book besties who take the novels you love seriously. This is Jac.
And I'm Amy, and together we mix smart analysis with fandom fun. So let's get into it.
This is our Breadcrumbs and Broomsticks episode where we read your thoughts and interpretations, as well as discuss breadcrumbs from chapters 12 through 16 of Sarah J. Maas's A Court of Silver Flames.
Before we dive in, don't forget SPILT. Spoilers, perspective and interpretation, language, and themes.
If you would like more information, please go back and listen to the start of Tuesday's episode. And if you want to submit your thoughts for our Breadcrumbs and Broomsticks episode in the future, make sure to follow us on Instagram where we collect listener submissions. I don't know if we make it clear enough. This is spoiler for the Maasverse. This is spoiler for everything. There is no safety here.
No. What do you mean you thought you were safe?
Not here.
Never.
Also, this is probably the most bright-eyed and bushy-tailed we have ever been for this side of recording for Breadcrumbs and Broomsticks, because normally we record all of it in one go. So by the time we get to here, we've been doing this for like 3 hours and we're just kind of tired.
Yep.
I feel alive.
Mm-hmm.
My hair is still drying. I feel great. Amy?
Yeah, I do too, which is weird.
You look so confused.
I'm so confused because
like,
it is Friday afternoon.
I know. I think we're just thrilled and we're here to start this. And so you know what? Let's do this biznitch.
Starting in chapter 12, Nesta, as she begins training for the first time and focusing on breath work, quote, but she focused on her breathing, on the power of it, as if her lungs were the bellows of some great forge. She's not only being forged into a weapon, but she will also forge weapons later.
Holy shit. Damn, you're right. I forgot. That's a good one. Wow, good job. All right. In chapter 13, when Nesta sees Gwyn at the library, she thinks, again, Gwyn wore no hood and no blue stone atop her head, because like Nesta, Gwyn thinks she's unworthy. Also, am I saying Gwyn correctly? Because one of the episodes we've done previously, not this season, because these episodes haven't come out yet, but people have been like, you say her name wrong. And I'm like, it's a made-up name.
Actually, my colleague is named Gwyneth.
Spelled this way, though?
Yep.
Right. Well,
Gwyn.
I'm
So
done.
Win with a G. Gwyn.
Gwyn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still in chapter 13, when Nesta and Gwyn start talking, Nesta learns that Gwyn hasn't left the library since she arrived, like the other priestesses. Quote, but you don't leave. No, Gwyn said, we don't. Not for long.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's exactly what she's going to do.
You're not going to be in this library for the rest of the book. I mean, she'll be in and out.
Right. What it's supposed to do is it's supposed to make Gwyn's willingness to leave the library, the house, to go to Emery's place, a big deal later on.
And you know what? She's rewarded for it by being kidnapped.
Yep. Maybe she'll never leave the library again.
I know, right? Like, that's like the one time you leave and you're just like, oh, shit. I knew I should have stayed home.
Yeah.
We're still in chapter 13. Nesta learns from Gwyn that the priestesses have services every day. Quote, it's not so dull. The services are beautiful. The songs as fair as any you'd hear in a music hall. That sounds rather interesting. That was Nesta talking. Another source of comfort coping for Nesta in the future.
Again, in chapter 13, after the house provides Nesta with a book that Gwyn was looking for, quote, a soft, warm breeze brushed past her legs like a cat wending between them in warm greeting and farewell. I definitely thought I put this in the regular analysis. That's why I got so confused in yesterday's episode. But when Nesta later on looks into the darkness at the bottom of the library, Gwyn describes the darkness like a cat, and that's because it is one and the same.
When Nesta goes to switch out the book in Meryl's office for Gwyn, quote, Meryl's remarkable eyes narrowed. Okay, so this is Amy's note. She says, there's nothing concrete, but people with remarkable eyes tend to be important in SJM's world, and Amy bets we will see Meryl again in the future in an important role. Also, she's really hot. I mean, really stunning and beautiful eyes.
It's just a theory.
That's Az's mate. Everyone's Az's mate.
When Nesta finds Gwyn later on, after replacing the book in Meryl's office, quote, Gwyn's hair seemed to glow brighter with her song, skin radiating a beckoning light, drawing any listener in. This is one of the examples of why fans hypothesize that Gwyn is a quote-unquote light singer and Azriel's true mate.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Another one for Jac. I didn't come up with this, but Jac is team Elaine and Azriel. Or no, sorry, Gwen and Azriel.
Freudian slip.
I forgot who I'm talking about. Still in chapter 13, Gwyn describes Meryl's research. Quote, she was obsessed with theories regarding the existence of different realms, different worlds, living on top of each other without even knowing it, whether there is merely one existence, our existence, or if it might be possible for worlds to overlap, occupying the same space, but separate by time and a whole bunch of other things. Oh my God. Okay. So basically, we know Crescent City is on top of ACOTAR world in the same timeline, and that Throne of Glass, Aelin, is in a different timeline, though. So, because she's in the past. However, in this book, and we actually will see it in Nesta's point of view, we see Aelin coming through space and time, like coming through everything.
Oh, we see it in Nesta's point of view?
Yeah. There's a time where she'll talk about there's like a red streak in the sky and everyone talks about it. And timeline wise, that's the same time as how pregnant Farah is. Because when Aelin goes flying through space, she sees a heavily pregnant female.
Right. That I remember. I missed the part where Nesta sees.
You know what? So did I. It took someone on Instagram to point it out. But there will be a moment where there's a streak through the sky and it's just a line saying everyone was in awe with it.
Interesting. Still in chapter 13, because it doesn't stop, Gwyn continues, quote, some philosophers believe there are 11 worlds like that, and some believe there are as many as 26, the last one being time itself. It's a random throwaway comment that's going to be important when Nesta gets the harp later.
We know of 4 worlds. We have ACOTAR, Crescent City, Throne of Glass, and then that one world where Aelin went into
a bunch of water?
No. Oh, okay. And that world. And then there was, remember in the second one. What was the second one now? Crown of Midnight. When she turns into a fae, when she goes into the other world to save Kale.
It's a lot.
It's too many. Last one in chapter 13, Gwyn says one final thank you to Nesta. Quote, she flashed Nesta a grin. Thank you. I'm in your debt. Nesta shifted on her feet. It was nothing. Foreshadows the debt conversation Nesta will have with Gwyn on Ramuel at the end of the Blood Rite. And somebody had just finished listening to the book again because I forgot that.
Yeah, it's amazing what sticks with you when you just finish it.
I need to go back and finish it.
In chapter 14, Cassian notices a change in the behavior of the house. Quote, he made a mental note to ask Rhys about it later, whether the house was sentient. He'd never heard his High Lord mention it in 5 centuries. That's a clue about the influence Nesta has had on shaping the house and its personality and how it is not as it used to be.
I wonder if SJM watched the Disney original movie on the Disney Channel, Smart House, because that was a great one. Did you not see? God, you were in China. Sometimes you just crush my joy. Just remember that every time you were living in China. When Cassian goes to the spring court with Rhys, quote, Cassian gave an unnecessarily loud sniffle, earning a chuckle from Rhys. Good. When he met his brother half an hour ago, Rhys's eyes had been distant, his face solemn. That's because he's the only one who knows about Farah's pregnancy and their lives being at risk here. Also, we're going to see it later again when you have this moment, quote, Rhys said, throwing him a dry smile. It didn't quite meet his eyes, though. A grave distance lurked there.
A grave distance?
Grave. I thought Rhys only had known for a couple of days when he...
No, he'd known for a while.
Okay. Well, someone who commented that somewhere was wrong.
I mean, I think that's my interpretation of it.
Oh, I agree with you. This was my note also, and then I saw that you already wrote it, and I was like, damn it. I was hoping she didn't catch that.
In chapter 14, the spring court landscape is described as green and gold and glowing in the sunlight. They say a beast prowls these lands now. I know we talked about Tamlin, but it sounds a lot like Terrasen, green and gold.
That do be sounding like Terrasen. Still in chapter 14, this episode's had is a lot of breadcrumbs. She did a lot of work here. Another instance of Rhys being distracted, quote, but Rhys's gaze had gone distant, once again distracted. He stared towards the faraway hills, as if he could see the beast that roamed there. Cassian had witnessed Rhys go deep into his own head often enough, knew his brother was prone to withdraw while appearing perfectly fine. But this level of distraction, this is in response to the conversation that vulnerable courts will be claimed, and Rhys's court is going to be vulnerable because him and Fair are going to be dead. And I hope they're happy about that. I hope they're thrilled with the smart-ass pact that they gave one another.
Yeah, that's what happens when you don't think about consequences.
I know.
In chapter 15, while at the library, Nesta thinks, quote, the 7th level of the library was unnerving.
This was my note.
This is your note. We know SJM loves the number 7 and what it can mean. For example, Seven Asteri and all the references to 7 in Crescent City.
Okay, because the next note is, I think, potential linkage there. So while Gwyn and Nesta are leaving the library's scary level, Gwyn says, I quote, I can feel something like a cat, small and clever and curious. It's watching. People think that it's Adius from Crescent City, aka Cat Daddy.
And this is why I think it's the house, because Nesta just thought of the house as a cat.
I agree. I think it's confusing. Okay, I have 2 things to that. One, that Nesta tends to know when it's the house because Nesta has felt the house around her before. She's been like, oh, you busybody type thing. And this time she feels off about it. 2, Gwyn says that priestesses have felt it go all the way to their room, and Nesta only just turned the house sentient.
That's fair. That's fair.
I agree with you that SJM should have done better. Because when she compares things, it's a link. When I read your note, I was like, you're right, that is a link. And then I was like, but there are these other reasons why it's not a link. And I think you were on top of something and she was not.
Oh,
so
thank you. You give me a lot of credit.
Consider this our trip to the night court. We'll be right back. This show is sponsored by Liquid IV.
When I think of spring break, I think of Jac and I senior year Las Vegas. You know what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but what doesn't stay in Vegas is the hydration our body needs no matter what.
If there's anything that I needed from that trip, it's Liquid IV. And now that I'm older, I really need Liquid IV after going out. I drink Liquid IV's sugar-free hydration multiplier all the time. I'm not even exaggerating.
Liquid IV's hydration multiplier hydrates me better than water alone.
If you're going to Coachella or any music festival, this is the perfect thing to put in your purse because only 1 stick and 16 ounces of water hydrates faster than water alone. It's powered by LIV, Hydroscience, and an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration.
Compared to water, Liquid IV delivers longer lasting hydration and retains hydration for up to 4 hours. It's backed by a scientific advisory board with world-renowned researchers to conduct clinical research trials.
And for our vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free girlies, this is perfect for you.
It's always non-GMO and has delicious sugar-free options like mandarin orange, rainbow sherbet, my favorite, mango pineapple, and more.
Soak up unforgettable memories with on-the-go hydration from Liquid IV. Tear pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first purchase with code BookTok at checkout.
That's 20% off your first purchase with code BookTalk, BOOKTALK, at liquidiv.com. Still in chapter 15 during training, Nesta considers calling in her bargain. Quote, she had half a mind to call in their bargain and order Cassian to never make her do another squat again, because that is the kind of petulance she will use when she does use the bargain.
Also in chapter 15, when Nesta alludes to the darkness in the library, Cassian goes alpha male. Quote, he blinked, his siphons glowing. Tell me. It's giving mate. It's giving who did this to you? / like, hey, it's just the creepy shadows that were lurking. I didn't do anything.
Yeah. Still in chapter 15, Cassian talks about folklore that the humans used to tell each other about the Fae. Quote, they were based on truth, based on ancient near-primordial beings who existed here before the High Fae split into courts, before the High Lords. Some call them the first gods. They were beings with almost no physical form, but a keen, vicious intelligence. Humans and Fae alike were their prey. Most were hunted and driven into hiding or imprisonment ages ago, aka Daglin / Valg / Asteri.
Yep.
All of the above.
All of the above. Additionally, in chapter 15, when talking about Lanthus, Cassian tells Nesta that the creature, quote, crawled out of the roots of a mountain, maybe from one of the 3 sacred mountains under the mountain, since Bryce finds another under the prison in Flame and Shadows. There's just a lot of things happening underground.
Yeah. And they talk about how the prison is bald and Ramiel is bald, and so is Under the Mountain, that mountain.
Bald?
Nothing grows on them.
Okay.
And is it because there's an Asteri under each of them?
Like there's a couple more locked up in there.
Right. Well, Lanthus came out from under a mountain. So my theory is Lanthus came from under the mountain. Because otherwise Amarantha would have found something while she was there.
Yeah.
And then Bryce finds the one under the prison. I bet there's another one under Ramiel.
Nice.
We'll see. I could be wrong.
I don't know. I mean, at this point, I think SJM should be taking everyone's ideas.
Yeah. Last one in chapter 15. Cassian tells Nesta, quote, of all the occupants of the prison, Lanthus is the one I dread finding a way out, which is exactly what's going to happen.
We are now in chapter 16 of Breadcrumbs, and Cassian talks about why there are no female Illyrian warriors. Quote, it's not just the training, it's running the social gauntlet too. And then there's the blood rite, which they'd also have to complete. I mean, this is like and then this is going to be the last bit of book and plot for you guys to do.
Just foreshadowing everything that's going to happen in the last act.
Yeah, but that's how books book.
It's done well.
It's done very well.
And our last breadcrumb for this episode, still in chapter 16, Cassian tells Nesta when talking about the blood rite, quote, once you're in, you can't leave, at least until the rite is over, or you reach the peak of Ramiel. And if anyone breaks into the rite to extract or save you, the law declares that both of you will be hunted down and killed for the transgression. Even Rhys isn't exempt from those laws. More foreshadowing.
All right. That was a lot of breadcrumbs.
It was.
And we've got a lot of broomsticks for you guys. We asked everyone, and we got a lot of responses. Proud of you guys. All it was quick. Defend Nesta or defend Rhys in ACOSF Silver Flames. We got DMs. We got people answering. Oh, we got a lot of people.
I've got one email.
Oh, you got an email?
Yeah.
You know what? They get to go first because they followed our favorite things, and that's email.
Email's our favorite.
Yeah.
Which is AKA the form on our website, guys. All right, this is from Kelly. Defend Nesta. Nesta is traumatized and Rhys is being a jerk. Rhys doesn't want to take accountability for his choices and how they affect other people. The inner circle and Feyre allow this, but Nesta doesn't. I get that Rhys thinks he's protecting Feyre, but lying is not the way to do it. I know Nesta also lies, at least by omission, to Feyre, but that's to protect herself from Feyre seeing her as weak. In parentheses, I'm specifically thinking about her and Thomas Mandray, but I'm sure there are other times. Not to withhold important info to make decisions about Feyre's life. So Nesta wants to protect herself instead of being like Rhys making decisions for Feyre. Rhys doesn't take any time to consider what Nesta has been through, even just since she became Fae, which he willingly does for Elaine. I love Rhys, but we definitely see a more realistic view of him from Nesta's perspective instead of Feyre's rose-tinted glasses. No one really asks what Nesta wants and or are willing to give it to her, aside from maybe Cassian. But she's unwilling to be emotionally vulnerable with anyone, so she blocks them out. She struggles with a lot just within the books, not to mention her trauma at the hands of her mother's death, and her father's lack of effort. But people like to summarize it as Nesta's a bitch, instead of seeing the trauma she's gone through, including her own sister.
Okay. I love it. I feel like I'm going to say something that people are going to hate. I love Nesta, and I'm going to continue to defend Nesta. And I think that you can't defend Nesta without understanding who her mirrors are in this book. Her father's one of her mirrors, and I'm starting to see the case, which we've made in this past episode, that Rhys is one of the mirrors to Nesta. And I don't think both are supposed to not be good people. Like, both of them are extremely flawed.
Yeah.
And I think that Rhys is almost her main antagonist in this book.
Mm-hmm.
Really. He's the one who got her in this place. He's the one who loses it when she tells Feyre about the baby. Like, there's a lot of things that he is one of her opposing forces. At the same time, we do know that Rhys is doing this for good reasons. Manipulative reasons, but good reasons. And that's not just for Feyre's sake, but for Cassian. And I think that it's going to be a lot of things that we point out with Nesta, we can see in Rhys. Same text, different font or something like that. I don't know. What do you think?
So I think Nesta's greatest antagonist is herself, but she doesn't want to admit that. And so Rhys is the thing upon which she fixates, right? Because she is already self-destructive enough, and it's not enough for her. She also has to retaliate against Rhys. I do like to shit on Rhys, but what I will say, this kind of slammed into me during our analysis of this episode, or these chapters, but Rhys is also traumatized.
Yeah.
This is year 2 after 50 years under the mountain with Amarantha.
Of sexual assault. 50 years of sexual assault.
And so I imagine that for Rhys, he's being an asshole, but it's the only way he understands how to cope with the fact he's lost control again.
Yeah.
Right? He got out from under the mountain. Then there was Hybern. Then there was a war. And now what should be peaceful and happy times is now just another thing he's lost control of.
Yeah.
And so his coping mechanism is not alcohol the way it is for Nesta, but it is being a shitty person.
It's controlling
right?
people.
It's controlling. That's how he brings himself comfort.
I'm happy that my coping mechanism is TikTok. It puts things in perspective, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, I got a DM for you. I got a couple DMs. Okay, this is from Kendra. The way Nesta described her heart and brain, knowing that she's hurting people, but being physically incapable of stopping her mouth from saying the bad things, is really real, in my opinion. SJM explains that level of pain and trauma beautifully. I love this aspect of Nesta. I love that she cannot help herself. And whether we all have that one specific thing, like mine isn't, I can't help myself, so I'm going to say this very mean thing.
Yeah.
Mine is, we got to talk about this. And I am incapable of, like, if I feel like, oh, we need to talk, I can't not
talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all have our thing. I know sometimes, like when I'm upset with my boss, it would be smarter to wait until I'm not upset. And then I go tell him why I'm upset anyway.
Bring him in. Let's all have a talk with him. Yeah, it's one of the most real, raw things about Nesta, and I respect the crap out of it. Even if people don't understand because they've never been through it. Like, that's not my brand of self-destruction.
Yeah.
Choose a different one. All right. So this is from Haley. Following up with my response. Okay. I haven't read Haley's response, so we'll just continue. Following up with my response to your story, defend Nesta or Rhys, I don't think they are irredeemable. I just think they make some shitty choices and they skipped the co-worker phase and jumped straight into the bickering sibling phase.
That's a good point.
You know what they give? It gives two oldest siblings who don't know how to give space or room to anything.
Right. They don't know how to act with someone as dominant as them.
No, I love oldest siblings. A lot of my friends are oldest siblings and Tauruses. It's actually quite concerning how much of a type I have when it comes to friends. It is fascinating where sometimes there is a brand of oldest sibling and they're not my friends who are completely will not give space or room.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get one of them with another oldest sibling. Put me in the room. I want to watch.
This is from Jess. Hi, sorry for messaging and not responding to the post in your stories. It's a longer response and I couldn't figure out how to send 2 messages. First, I love this podcast and have been listening for years, but this is my first time responding. I just love Nesta so much, I couldn't let this go. So, in defense of Nesta, I'm going to be obnoxious and pull the I'm a therapist and putting on my therapist hat card. There's something called the anger iceberg, and it's a great analogy, metaphor, you two know better than me, that sums up that anger, like the top of the iceberg. The top is what shows on the surface to people. But like an iceberg, the bulk of the ice is underneath. And so too are our other emotions. I've heard Jac say before, anger is a secondary emotion. In parentheses, hell yeah, you've put in your therapeutic work.
I passed the test. Yay!
And that's what I think is going on with Nesta. She had a shit childhood, and I know so did her sisters once they lost all their money. Part 2. But Nesta was older, and I think she could better grasp what the loss of money and being thrust into poverty actually meant for their lives long term. She recognized the shallowness of the relationships to the friends who'd shunned and refused to help them in their time of need. Plus, she was dealing with Mom's death, and she was the closest to Mom, aka Mother Archeron. I think she was grieving the future she had been groomed to want. And that's another thing. She was being groomed to be the shining star of the family, and she lost that. She lost her identity. So those emotions show up as anger. Then she gets turned, and there's another loss of identity. And even if it wasn't a full life future that she wanted, she was grieving the loss of the future she assumed she would have as a human. And then she gets asked to fight and use powers she doesn't understand, further disrupting her sense of identity because she doesn't understand who the hell she is. And during the battle, her shithead dad comes.
The cauldron demands a brief intermission. Sleep is important to everyone, but I am bipolar and sleep is one of the most important things that I can do to protect not just my mental health, but my physical health. I always strive to get around 8 hours of sleep a night. Honestly, I have to shoot from 8 to 10 hours a night. And it is so important for me to know that everything in my body is helping me get that balanced sleep that I really need.
For me, the big shift was realizing that sleep isn't just about hours. It's the foundation for everything. Performance, mood, focus, recovery, even how you age.
The part that surprised me is that you can't fully understand your sleep without looking at your lab tests. If your sleep is off, your results will likely show it with elevated inflammation and shifts in glucose and cholesterol. And when sleep improves, that's going to show too.
That's what I appreciate about Function. It gives you real data so you know what's happening inside your body. Sleep isn't just a habit, it's biology. And if you want to look deeper to see whether you're improving it or troubleshooting how to improve it, you have to measure it.
I have my first appointment with Function to get my blood drawn for next week. What I did appreciate about it, though, is that they are making sure that it's coordinated around my period. They weren't just like, come here, give us blood. It was like, hey, let's make sure you get the best results possible.
Be like Jac and own your health. Start by understanding what's happening beneath the surface.
Function gives you access to 160 plus lab tests each year, including advanced markers for heart health, inflammation, stress, hormones, toxins, and more for $365 a year.
Learn more and join Function using our link. Visit www.functionhealth.com/BookTok or use gift code BookTok25, that's BOOKTALK 25, for a $25 credit toward your membership.
I have the most complicated period ritual just to make sure that I am comfortable and I don't have any accidents. And at the end of the day, I'm not comfortable and I still have accidents. I am so happy that I have finally made the jump to Knix because I can sleep so much easier when I'm on my period now with their leak-proof underwear.
Nix, that's Knix, has completely changed how I feel about my period. Their leak-proof technology not only looks and feels like regular underwear, but it washes like regular underwear, and they have a range of absorbencies because if you're like me, my period keeps changing. The heavier days are heavier and shorter, and I don't know what to expect. With up to 6 super tampons worth of absorption, I'm totally covered.
Plus, Nix has patent-bonded edges to prevent side leaks. We all know about those dreaded side leaks. They are the bane of my existence. Their underwear is buttery soft, stretchy fabric and cuts like thong, bikini, boy shorts, high rise, and more. Their thong has seriously changed everything. I wear that on my last day of the period where like I just need something for the gym. Pad doesn't feel comfortable. Tampons don't feel comfortable. Nix, game changer.
I swear by their boy shorts for overnight on heavy nights. I even wore those boy shorts under my dress during my engagement photo shoot. They were lifesavers. Head to Nix.com and you'll see why we love Nix. Use code BookTalk, that's BOOKTALK, for 15% off your order.
Get leak-proof undies, amazing bras, and more. That's KNIX.com using code BookTalk, BOOKTALK. Nix.com.
Fuck, part 3. So sorry. Writing in to save the day, Papa Archeron has the audacity to name a ship after her. So she's processing this idea that her dad is capable of being a parent and maybe cares for her because remember, he's been distant/absent her whole life. So as she's experiencing hope that her dad cares and the possibility of reconciliation, he is brutally murdered in front of her. And for anyone who thinks that it's not a big deal to her because they weren't close, great, that works perfectly for my argument. It is not uncommon to grieve the loss of an estranged parent even before the loss of hope for a reconciliation or conversation or understanding is completely gone. So she has all these emotions she doesn't know what to do with or how to process. So she gets angry because anger iceberg. And she turns to drinking because it turns off her thoughts. But everyone just wants her to be happy and functional because they're all a bunch of emotional tamper downers and Nesta's actually too emotionally advanced to tamp down, but not so emotionally centered that she knows how to process them. So everyone's treatment of her is bullshit, and Reese, especially being so harsh, judgy, is especially bullshit. But it's not an excuse, just a reason. I'll forgive Reese because he's too emotionally stunted to know better. Anyway, even if this never makes it to the podcast, I'm really glad I got this out. I've been sitting on it for a long time. And since I'm here and 4 messages in, I just want to say how much I love and adore your podcast. I listen constantly, and not only do I feel like I learn things, but I also feel like I'm just chatting and hanging with friends. Thank you for creating this community. Also, damn, I love how you ladies are so vocal about therapy and being pro-therapy. Thank you for that.
Everyone go to therapy. Oh, what a lovely message.
Yeah.
Spot on. You're right. I did do the therapy work. Also, one of the things that she said, I mean, she said many incredible things, but one of the things sparked a thought where this horrible, traumatic war happened. There hasn't been a war like this in forever where all of these High Lords had to come together, right? None of the Fae have seen a war like this. And yet everyone's moving on with their life as if nothing happened.
Yeah.
And I can see how Nesta's sitting here just like screaming internally, thinking like, how can you guys just go start a family, move on, go dancing? Like, I know that people have to cope and move on, but to this listener's point, like Nesta, even though she doesn't know how to process her emotions, is one of the people who's actually facing them here, saying like, you guys, that was a horrible thing that we all went through.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And I think the grieving process, I'm seeing it in my own mother, and I can't remember if I've talked about it on the podcast before, but apparently it is very common for the grieving process when you're grieving a parent who is narcissistic, vain, didn't give you the parenting that you wanted. That grieving process is, I mean, any grieving process is not linear, but I think it's even more shocking for the person grieving because they're like, this person, like Papa Archeron, doesn't deserve my grief, but my inner child is grieving because I never got the parent I needed.
I want to specify, Amy's not talking about her specific mom of getting the parent she needs.
I'm not talking about My mom. I'm talking
Yeah.
about my mom's mom.
Yeah. You started off with, I want to talk about my mom. And then you burped and then you.
So I'm talking about my mom who recently lost her mom.
Yes.
And that's been very interesting to watch because my mom is not typically an emotional person and it's really rocked her. So it's not shocking with Nesta.
You know what this is also kind of reminding me of right now is we're recording this February 20th. So I hope marvelous progress has happened and whenever this comes out. But with all of the news coming out about the Epstein files, there's a lot of people struggling with how am I supposed to keep living with this knowledge?
Mm-hmm.
How am I supposed to function and go to work and see my kids and live my life and do all these things, knowing that horrible things happen and that those people are still in charge? And there's actually more and more people who are having these very public breakdowns from it because they just don't know what to do. And this really reminds me of it. And I think Nesta is capturing this feeling of that something that everyone has felt when you're sitting here thinking the world is burning and yet I'm supposed to just keep moving. I know Nesta isn't necessarily thinking that the world is burning, but she saw her dad die. She saw and she's talked about the guilt and her lack of guilt for letting all those Illyrians die and saving Cassian. Like she's gone through some shit.
Yeah. And I think it creates a certain cognitive dissonance to be like, everyone else doesn't care as much as I care.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, or at least that's the perception, right? Everyone else is capable of compartmentalizing and I'm not. And what does that say about me? Am I broken because I can't compartmentalize this?
There was like 1 year, I think it was like the 20th anniversary of when my dad died. It hit me hard. And I felt like no one else in my family was hitting them as hard as that. And I just kept playing Taylor Swift's Help, I'm Still at the Restaurant, sitting in the corner. Yeah, like everyone's just moved on and you're just sitting there stuck and thinking about what's going on. If you just keep talking to your mom long enough, she'll start crying and then you'll be like, haha, you're with me now.
I drag you down with me.
Woo! Yeah, so that's totally valid. That's valid. I love that. All right. So this is from Eman?
Is it A-M-A-N?
No, it's E-M-A-A-N.
Iman. Yeah.
Hello, ladies. Hope you're having a lovely day. Here's my 2 cents. Nesta's behavior makes sense when you look at what trauma does to someone who's never learned healthy coping skills. Thanks, Mama and Papa Archeron. She didn't lash out because she was evil or selfish, but because anger was the only thing that made her feel anything other than broken. If we take Farah's complicated pregnancy as an example, as an eldest daughter, severely traumatized and emotionally deregulated sister, she's angry because she can only see that 1, her sister is being kept in the dark by her so-called family who doesn't respect her, and 2, given this, they have the audacity to critique how Nesta's behaved and currently behaves with both Farah and Elaine. So the anger boils over and she tells Farah the big secret. This is also easier than processing her own trauma and talking about it. Reese, on the other hand, is only thinking about Farah dying, and despite what people think, this is very on brand of him. He's shown irrationality and overprotectiveness in the face of losing his mate, or getting hurt because of things he can't control, which can also be said for the pregnancy and for Nesta. His brain stops working when it comes to Farah, and that may be because of those animalistic urges that make them have sex for weeks, or roar. But also short circuit when there's a threat to the mate's life and they can't do anything about it. He's just a man at the end of the day.
And men are dumb.
Are you gonna
Sorry. Sorry, men.
Were you going to say anything else to that, or?
No, I think it just goes back to what we were saying before of like, there's a lot within Reese that is contributing to the way he's acting. It's not like he's an inherently bad person. He's not evil. Like some people wanted to suggest. He has a lot of trauma. He's got his primal instincts that are coming up, right? Need to protect Farah. And in some ways that, as Iman said, short circuits his brain. And so it's not black and white with these two.
I can't wait for Nesta telling Farah because I have the right to change my mind by the time we get there. From what I remember, there's nothing sisterly or protective about it. It was I'm going to tell you because I want you to hurt like I hurt.
Yep.
And I think that we tend to justify or give her leeway because it is quote unquote the right thing to do. But it's another Taylor Swift song, so casually cruel in the name of being honest, right? Like she gets to claim morality when it was just to hurt Feyre.
Yeah. Cassian takes her. This is only clear in my brain because I've just finished re-listening to Silver Flames, but Cassian takes her on a walk. He takes her hiking because Rhys says, get out of here.
Yeah.
But they only walk as long as they do because Nesta is so remorseful and she hates herself for what she's done to Feyre. So morality, schmorality, like that was not the reason why she did it at the end of the day. But Feyre is able to forgive her because morally it was the right thing for Nesta to have done.
Nesta has guilt because she knows that it came from such a bad place.
Yeah.
And to claim morality to justify it, like it was so bad that was the final straw that broke Nesta to make her realize why she feels the way she feels. And I love her complicated relationship with Feyre. Like I love how much she can't stand Feyre and how it truly comes from her own self-hatred. Feyre has done nothing to her.
No.
Nothing. Feyre just represents everything that Nesta has issues with. She would not have gone hiking for days if she didn't feel guilty, which is a sign that she knows, we know. That was such a great moment. Like, again, you're like, morally, you know what's going on, but also, yeah.
The spring court's giving me sniffles. We'll be right back.
Struggling to find the right metabolic wellness support, even when you're doing everything right, has been one of the most frustrating things for me in my health journey.
I've tried other metabolic wellness support providers, and I often feel rejected rather than supported by the process.
That's because Brello is focused on long-term health, longevity, and performance, not quick fixes.
Brello is designed for people who want a more sustainable approach to their metabolic wellness support. Their support helps you focus on habits, education, and structure alongside provider oversight.
Getting my GLP-1 through Brello has been so easy. They make it so effortless, and they provide all the support I need through their app.
Their app is one of a kind in my book because it allows you to track progress, manage reminders, and stay on top of renewals. And if you're like me, managing the renewals is the hardest part.
Everything is managed online, making it easier to stay consistent over time, and medications are delivered to your door. They're so transparent with their pricing with one flat monthly cost. Go to BrelloHealth.com to see if you qualify and explore their GLP-1 plans, starting at $133 per month for your first 3 months, plus access to their app, community, and wellness classes. That's BRELLO health.com.
Any information provided is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical consultation, diagnosis, or treatment. All patients must consult with a healthcare provider prior to the prescription or dispensing of any medication, which will be done only pursuant to a valid prescription. Compounded drug products are not FDA approved, and the FDA does not evaluate their safety, effectiveness, or quality. Patients are encouraged to discuss the risks, benefits, and appropriateness of any medications, including compounded products, with their healthcare provider before use. I'm preparing to get married, which means I'm thinking a lot about what it means to merge finances. And I think I'm going with Chime.
Chime isn't just another banking app. They unlock smarter banking for everyday people with products like MyPay, giving you access to up to $500 of your paycheck anytime and getting paid up to 2 days early with direct deposit. Some of these old banks still don't do this.
We're at Romantasy BookCon, and I don't get paid for another 2 days. I could really use Chime right now.
I don't get paid for another 2 days too. I'm really sad. It's not stopping me from buying everything, but it is also making me want to switch to Chime.
Because they don't have overdraft fees, minimum balance fees, or monthly fees.
You can also earn up to 3% APY on savings. That's 7 times higher than a traditional bank.
It's also rated 5 stars by USA Today for customer service because they have real humans 24/7.
And with the Chime card, it's the new way to build credit history with your own money and get rewarded every single day.
There's no annual fees, no interest, and no strings attached. Who can resist that?
Chime is not just smarter banking, it's the most rewarding way to bank. Join the millions who are already banking fee-free today.
It just takes a few minutes to sign up. Head to chime.com/booktalk. That's chime.com/booktalk. BOOKTALK.
Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services, a secured Chime Visa credit card, and MyPay line of credit provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. MyPay eligibility requirements apply, and credit limit ranges $20 to $500. Optional services and products may have fees or charges. See chime.com/fees info. Advertised annual percentage yield with Chime Plus status only. Otherwise, 1.00% APY applies. No min balance required. Chime card on-time payment history may have a positive impact on your credit score. Results may vary. See chime.com for details and applicable terms.
The next one is from Ariel, defending Nesta. Cassian says multiple times that it took him years to get over his trauma, that he acted without thought. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's also said about others in the court that they spent years unreachable and traumatized. I never really understood why everyone was as hard on Nesta as they were. For Feyre and Cassian, I think it's because they were concerned and cared about Nesta, but Rhys didn't. In this book, I really had to question if it was Feyre or Nesta who were unreliable in their perception of Rhys. This Rhys was not the Rhys from previous books. The greatest sin Nesta seemed to commit against anyone but herself was telling Feyre the truth about her pregnancy. Absolutely bonkers that the entire court decided that a woman shouldn't be informed about her medical situation. Don't care how scared Rhys was, that's unforgivable. It is a special kind of cruel that Cassian says it took him 10 years after destroying his mother's village to be able to talk about it. And that wasn't to war, right?
Yeah.
That was just retribution for his mother dying. And so it's been, at this point, not even a year since the war, maybe a year since the war with Hybern, and nobody's traumatized the way that Nesta is.
Yeah. I understand why everyone else maybe isn't as traumatized because they're 500 years old and they've seen some shit and this is just a Tuesday for them.
Mm-hmm.
Feyre, I think she should be more traumatized, but sure. She's gone through way more shit than any of her sisters, right? I could make a good case that she's better at compartmentalizing or coping in a different way. We know that she copes through art. We have that memory that Cassian has where he thinks about the time that she drew ribs. So we know she's actively working on her own feelings. I would like to come to Elaine. What's wrong with this bitch?
So she's service oriented. I'm not going to say she's not traumatized or working through it. She is helping other people build their gardens as they rebuild Velaris, right? So her coping mechanism is probably service.
Right. You're right. No, you're right. I'm not happy about it, but you're right.
Not everybody is the same.
Yeah, they're not giving her a fair break, a fair chance. And this is where Feyre did make a mistake. She's not perfect, but earlier I said, Feyre's done nothing wrong. And I take it back. So this is one place where she did do something wrong. You don't step back like that when someone goes through a traumatic moment.
Yeah.
Nesta lost their father, their shared joint father. And Feyre chose not to be there to give her room. I think that was partially because she wanted to hurry up and heal.
Yeah, and I think this is where Feyre and Elaine are the same, where Nesta is not. Feyre and Elaine, I'm making assumptions on Elaine, but their healing is through the act of helping other people heal, right? Through rebuilding the rainbow, through art classes, through gardens, etc. Nesta's healing is not productive. It is not assistive. It is not service oriented. And that, therefore, is othering, right?
Yeah.
She internalizes things. She doesn't communicate things. She doesn't do anything to help anyone, including herself. So, therefore, it is bad.
She's the only one of her sisters that didn't have a hobby.
Yep.
To go to your point.
Her hobby got taken away from her when they lost all their money.
Dancing.
Her hobby was dancing.
Yep.
So it makes sense that her coping, again, was in the taverns with music, etc. If she were a healthier person and had started her own dance studio, nobody would be mad.
It could be burlesque dance studio if that's what you want. I support it entirely. Yeah.
But that's the thing is like everyone else in the inner circle is so service oriented and Nesta is not. And that is why they judge her. And I feel that because I'm, as much as I might be service oriented towards the people I love, I'm not towards anybody else.
There was a time where I was super depressed in my head and I decided to start volunteering at the Big Brother, Big Sister program. And I'm really happy. And I think that it did a lot. And that was fantastic. And now I have a podcast. So that's where my service goes to, you guys. Okay. Let me read another one. This is from Esty. Can't we be reasonable and appreciate that characters are flawed and that mistakes make them interesting? But if I had to, I'd defend Reese. Don't get me wrong. I love Nesta, but I think Reese needs more defending since we don't get to see his resolution from his and Feyre's point of view, only from Nesta, who hates him. And Nesta, we can see her journey.
It's interesting to me because having just re-listened to Silver Flames, I'm like, there's actually a lot more understanding between Nesta and Reese than I remember.
Yeah.
And I do think they come to realize that they are kind of in a lot of ways the same person. So that being said, yeah, Reese fucks up, but it's only one element of his story. Yeah. And I agree. Like, if they had a second child and it happened again and he kept the information from her again, then yeah, fuck him. But that's not where we're at.
I believe every person, every woman deserves the right and knowledge to their own body. I completely and utterly understand and agree with that. Mm-hmm. There is no ifs, ands, or buts for me. Mm-hmm. I also can understand wanting to come to someone with a solution. I get that idea of if there's a problem, and I learned this through work, through my years in corporate America, where you never present a problem without a solution.
Yep.
And that has now become ingrained in me where there's this problem and here are 3 different solutions.
Yep.
Again, I know what he did was wrong. It is not okay. He's having to tell her, hey, you and the baby might die.
AKA, I might die too.
Yeah, like we're all going down with this ship.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Don't you want to be able to come to her and say, but there is hope. There is a thing. Yes, he does not get the right to hold that knowledge for as long as he did. Honestly, if it was a couple of days, I'd say that's fine. Let him cope and process before having to share that news too. But should he have held it as long as he did? No. Is it understandable? And I kind of get it. Yeah, like I do. Yeah. I think that there's enough empathy, I think, that we can all have for someone who wants to not have to tell their mate that they and their child will probably die, and therefore him too.
Yeah.
Like, that's heavy knowledge to come to someone.
Yeah. Yeah. Heavier than anything.
Yeah.
That they've gone through, really.
You're not even just saying the child might die. You're saying that mother, father, wife, all of them will go. So it's like, that's not news you want to give without a, hey, but I did some research. There's some hope, you know?
Yeah. We have options. This is for the defend Reese reason. Coming at this as a mom of 2 beautiful girls and wife to a husband who will do anything in his power to protect me, I can understand why Reese did what he did out of his love for Feyre and his need to shield her and not cause any added stress for her during the pregnancy. Would I be happy if my husband ever did this? Heck no. I'd be mad and I'd let him know I was mad. Nesta had no business tattletaling, which she did because she was hurt and confronting her own demons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See? Someone agreed with us. We didn't even mean to read that one.
Yeah.
That wasn't even on our list.
Serendipity.
All right. This was from Sarah. Defend Nesta. Reese might have had a shit dad and shitty subsequent male authority figures, Devlin, but Nesta had a second-generation narcissistic mother and an emotionally absent father. Nesta was never allowed to explore herself and learn how to just be. She always had to play a part, be something for other people. She was taught that love/praise/acceptance was conditional. She went in the opposite direction and decided instead of seeking authentic love from people, she would rather close herself off and make people leave her before they got to know her true self. Because again, she was taught to play a role, aka her own self was not good enough. So, of course, it was really fucking hard for her to break down those barriers and be vulnerable to people, especially Cassian. Also, Rhys had hundreds of years and friends around him. Nesta had none of that. She was taught to be a pawn for other people and made herself into a ruthless weapon. She learned the game. When her family loses their money, it's like as if someone rage quitted and table flipped her Monopoly game. She perfected the art of social climbing. Then her favorite game, even if not her favorite, but she's a proud person, we can assume she liked to win and knew she was good at this, is gone, and she doesn't know how to not be number one anymore. So instead, she's going to make the game unplayable for everyone. If I can't have upward mobility, none of us can have upward mobility. Signed, a person with a narcissistic mother. I caught those clues. Props to SJM.
Yeah, I really appreciate what Sarah is saying because early on, 1 episode, 2 episodes ago, Nesta's like, I've lost my identity. I became a wolf and the wolf has eaten me, right? And she's going to continue to struggle with who am I and who am I in relationships? And so it makes sense that someone who doesn't know themselves isolates and doesn't seek healing and comfort from other people because they don't even know what they want anymore.
Yeah. I am not going to grow old of this conversation. I say on only episode 3 and still have however many more episodes, 9. So I probably will grow old of this conversation. But currently in the youth of this season, I will say I can talk about this forever. We also have an obscene amount of comments that we have, but we're not going to read them now because I want Amy to leave her work early. So, but I mean, like, there's a lot of screenshots. So we will continue this conversation because there is just so much about Rhys and Nesta being so similar. And I think that we're going to all have a harder time defending one and not the other when I think that it's going to end up becoming more hand in hand.
Yeah, I agree. All right.
Let's wrap this. Thanks for listening to Book Talk for Book Talk with Jac and Amy. Join us next week as we dive into chapters 17 through 24 of Sarah J. Maas's A Court of Silver Flames.
If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps other readers find us. And of course, we'd love to hear what you thought of today's episode. Share your comments through our forum at booktalkforbooktalk.com, and we might feature your feedback in a future mini episode or Patreon exclusive episode.
For merch and more ways to support the show, head to booktalkforbooktalk.com. You can also follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at the handle BookTalk for BookTalk. And don't forget to join us as we keep the analysis going by subscribing to our Substack to get more insights on the romantasy and romance genres. Head to the subtextsocietyjournal.substack.com. Bye.
Bye.
I have the most complicated period ritual just to make sure that I am comfortable and I don't have any accidents. And at the end of the day, I'm not comfortable and I still have accidents. I am so happy that I have finally made the jump to Knix because I can sleep so much easier when I'm on my period now with their leak-proof underwear.
Knix, that's Knix, has completely changed how I feel about my period. Their leak-proof technology not only looks and feels like regular underwear, but it washes like regular underwear, and they have a range of absorbencies because if you're like me, my period keeps changing. The heavier days are heavier and shorter, and I don't know what to expect. With up to 6 super tampons worth of absorption, I'm totally covered.
Plus, Knix has patent-bonded edges to prevent side leaks. We all know about those dreaded side leaks. They are the bane of my existence. Their underwear is buttery soft, stretchy fabric and cuts like thong, bikini, boy shorts, high rise, and more. Their thong has seriously changed everything. I wear that on my last day of the period where like I just need something for the gym. Pad doesn't feel comfortable. Tampons don't feel comfortable. Knix, game changer.
I swear by their boy shorts for overnight on heavy nights. I even wore those boy shorts under my dress during my engagement photo shoot. They were lifesavers. Head to Knix.com and you'll see why we love Knix. Use code BookTalk, that's BOOKTALK, for 15% off your order.
Get leak-proof undies, amazing bras, and more. That's KNIX.com using code BookTalk, BOOKTALK, Nix.com. Struggling to find the right metabolic wellness support, even when you're doing everything right, has been one of the most frustrating things for me in my health journey.
I've tried other metabolic wellness support providers, and I often feel rejected rather than supported by the process.
That's because Brello is focused on long-term health, longevity, and performance, not quick fixes.
Brello is designed for people who want a more sustainable approach to their metabolic wellness support. Their support helps you focus on habits, education, and structure alongside provider oversight.
Getting my GLP-1 through Brello has been so easy. They make it so effortless, and they provide all the support I need through their app.
Their app is one of a kind in my book because it allows you to track progress, manage reminders, and stay on top of renewals. And if you're like me, managing the renewals is the hardest part.
Everything is managed online, making it easier to stay consistent over time, and medications are delivered to your door. They're so transparent with their pricing with one flat monthly cost. Go to BrelloHealth.com to see if you qualify and explore their GLP-1 plans, starting at $133 per month for your first 3 months, plus access to their app, community, and wellness classes. That's BRELLO health.com.
Any information provided is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical consultation, diagnosis, or treatment. All patients must consult with a healthcare provider prior to the prescription or dispensing of any medication, which will be done only pursuant to a valid prescription. Compounded drug products are not FDA approved, and the FDA does not evaluate their safety, effectiveness, or quality. Patients are encouraged to discuss the risks, benefits, and appropriateness of any medications, including compounded products, with their healthcare provider before use. I'm preparing to get married, which means I'm thinking a lot about what it means to merge finances. And I think I'm going with Chime.
Chime isn't just another banking app. They unlock smarter banking for everyday people with products like MyPay, giving you access to up to $500 of your paycheck anytime and getting paid up to 2 days early with direct deposit. Some of these old banks still don't do this.
We're at Romantasy BookCon, and I don't get paid for another 2 days. I could really use Chime right now.
I don't get paid for another 2 days too. I'm really sad it's not stopping me from buying everything, but it is also making me want to switch to Chime.
Because they don't have overdraft fees, minimum balance fees, or monthly fees.
You can also earn up to 3% APY on savings. That's 7 times higher than a traditional bank.
It's also rated 5 stars by USA Today for customer service because they have real humans 24/7.
And with the Chime card, it's the new way to build credit history with your own money and get rewarded every single day.
There's no annual fees, no interest, and no strings attached. Who can resist that?
Chime is not just smarter banking, it's the most rewarding way to bank. Join the millions who are already banking fee-free today.
It just takes a few minutes to sign up. Head to chime.com/booktalk. That's chime.com/booktalk. BOOKTALK.
Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services, a secured Chime Visa credit card, and MyPay line of credit provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. MyPay eligibility requirements apply, and credit limit ranges $20 to $500. Optional services and products may have fees or charges. See chime.com/fees info. Advertised annual percentage yield with Chime Plus status only. Otherwise, 1.00% APY applies. No min balance required. Chime card on-time payment history may have a positive impact on your credit score. Results may vary. See chime.com for details and applicable terms.